Sup guys, new raid is finally here and I wanted to make sure after beating it that I could just make a quick guide for you guys, mainly focusing on mechanics to help people out, for those that like to watch guides in a video format instead of a long doc. Just to let it be known, any tips I give out might not be the best or outdated as time goes on. People will also find better strats, so take everything with a grain of salt and do it however your party wants to complete things. Also, certain attacks that I think aren't important and that I think most people will probably just ignore as some regular boss attacks, I won't be covering those, just the important mechanics that you'll for sure want to know about. I would also like to shout out Ritsu for an amazing and detailed guide made, and think it would be handy for most people to have if you don't already. So just wanted to spread as much information as possible, and you can pull up this doc while watching the vid, so I'll leave that in the description and the comments of the video. If you like this, please drop a like, comment, and sub. This honestly took me a lot of time, and I would greatly appreciate it if it could reach others. Getting into it, we have the first raid, Serpentium Tower, where we're fighting the security system core. A thing to note for both phases is that every time you're hit, there's a surveillance debuff, which lasts 15 seconds and will stack up to 20 times. Once someone hits 20 stacks, map-wide lasers will show, and trust that these lasers are much bigger than what the indicator shows. You can iframe these, so make sure to chain skills, use Ob-10 or Clock Force, because these do hurt a lot. Phase 1, we have Targeted Missile, where one player will be marked with a golden crosshair and will shortly be striked with a missile. If you see this, you might want to step away from the party since it can do a lot of damage and maybe kill someone unexpectedly, but otherwise, if you feel like you can tank it, then it's also something you could probably just ignore. Next up is Electrical Discharge, where if you see that text up top or the countdown numbers, he will then randomly shoot either 1, 3, or 5 lasers down in fixed positions. These lasers cannot be iframed, so you should react and dodge into the safe spots down below. These attacks are fixed, so you can get a general idea where to be when it happens. We then have wiring devices, where off to the sides you'll see 4 mechanisms where you're able to press F1 on. Knowing that there are 4 of them, you can then judge how many there are on the other side by viewing just one. The boss will then link itself to 1 and charges, which restores 1% of its total HP every 5 seconds. If the boss remains in this charging state for a minute, it'll wipe the party. The party must deal 10% of the boss's HP at the time it enters charging mode. Linking up to wire will also give a 10% attack buff for 10 seconds, so make sure to let the DPS players grab these. When the boss exits charging mode, an indicator will appear above the wiring device it was connected to, so you can turn it off. Next up is connecting circuits. The boss will teleport somewhere and a charging rod will come out on the left side of the map. Touching the glowing red area from this rod or another player will give you the bind buff. And once you reach 5 stacks, you will be stuck in place with the glowing area extending from you either left or right. So don't face away from the boss. The goal is simple. By just getting this to connect to where the boss is, completing this will put the boss in a groggy, where you can also use 3 hyperactives to have it stay groggy longer. Last important one is System Restart, where the boss will teleport to the center ground floor and rods all around will spawn on the map. You will want the party to go to the rods, press F1, and connect all the rods to the boss. Once the boss is hooked, blue plus signs will fall from the center where a player must grab these and then go to a rod and press F1 to turn them off until all of them are turned off. If a player grabs 2 of these, they will die. Tip for this is have one person do it while having a second person stand right above the boss as backup just in case, and everyone else can stand off to the side. If the boss absorbs 1 of the plus signs, it'll recover 10% of its HP, and if it absorbs 2, your party will be wiped. Completing this will put the boss in groggy, where you can again press 3 hyperactives to have it stay groggy longer. That's it for phase 1. Now let's move on to phase 2, where for this phase the map is in the air and you can fall off the side, so be careful not to do that. Again, keep in mind the 20 surveillance debuff mechanic applies here as well. First, we have the cube drops, where 2 players will be tracked with a red line that has a blue outline. Eventually, a cube will be released following the line. If it hits a player, it just does some measly damage, but if you hit the boss, it will grant a damage increase effect. When the boss is at 100%, a message will appear, and at 200%, it will enter groggy, which can be extended with 3 hyperactives, but will also get rid of your damage increase effect, so you'll have to stack it all over again. When the boss reaches 150 bars, it will just auto reset the stacks as well. Next is targeted lasers, where a player will be tracked by a laser for a few seconds and then confirm a position and fire a laser there. They can be vertical or horizontal, so if you see it, run away from the party, then come back once it's in a fixed position. You can also dodge all these with an iframe, so you don't have to run away if your party doesn't feel the need to. There can also be an X pattern, and for this one, the boss will also fire a laser to the person marked with an X, so be careful since this boss laser isn't iframeable. Targeted missile strike, the boss will lock in on a player and shoot a missile which will explode in a circular range, so if you see it, just move away from the party if possible. Minefield is where the boss places 6 mines on both sides of him. Touching it will explode it, and after a certain duration, they will explode automatically. Getting hit by it will just give you a cleansable confusion debuff, or you can iframe the attack. Electro Discharge, the boss will open up and release a circular wave area. The boss will heal if it hits anyone, and the player's hit will have their skills put on cooldown. So when it comes out, you can either get away or just chain iframes to avoid the cooldowns. Now for his area scan mechanic, he has 2 types, one of which he'll pair you with another party member and you will be given a symbol of blue, yellow, or green. You and your pair have to then find the interactable F1 node that has your color symbol. When the scan is happening, be sure to time your F1 as it comes by, for the barrier has a time limit. If you do it too soon, this will cause a wipe for your party, so press F1 as the scan is about to reach you. The other scan is where you'll see him in the back reveal the 3 symbols of blue, yellow, and green in a random order. All players must stand in the correct colored barrier as shown by the order as he does his scan 3 times. Note, for both scans, if you fail the mechanic, your party will be wiped. Well, that's it for this dungeon and all its important mechanics you'll need to take note of. Hopefully this helps, and if there are any better tips that come along as time goes on, or if you have questions or advice for others, I'll make sure to post and answer them in the comments below. Again, take care, and I'll see you guys later.